Welcome to The Jeweler's View. I'm Courtney Gray, metalsmith, educator, and creative business strategist. After 25 years in the jewelry industry, running one of the country's top metalsmithing schools, coaching artists, advising companies and organizations, and hosting interviews with some of the best in the craft, I finally created the kind of support I wish I'd had from the start. This podcast is a part of that. Each week, I share the lessons I had to learn the hard way so you can build a rhythm that supports your creative work, your values, and the life and business you actually want. Find tools, coaching, and my Transform course at CourtneyGrayArts.com, and let's get to work. Hey there, and welcome back to The Jeweler's View. This is Courtney Gray, and today I have a really special guest. I'm super excited to finally bring you on the show, Erin. I love hearing about your business and what you're doing, and I thought we need to talk about financial security for creatives. We just avoid. We want to do the fun part. We don't want to do the numbers part unless it has to do with ordering metal or something fun. And the other thing that I thought was so interesting is when Erin and I started talking, realized that your mom is a jeweler and that you're helping her with her business.
Yes, and her name of her business, I can shout her out, Carlita White Jewelry. She's had some tremendous success. She's been on the Smithsonian tour.
That is amazing. I didn't know that she's had such wild success.
Yeah, and I've helped her along her journey all this time.
I bet.
I'm her business advisor.
That is so perfect. So Erin is the founder of Hexagon Strategy Group, where she helps entrepreneurs scale with integrity and clarity through what she calls, and I find this really unique, the hospitality of business.
So it's not just about hotels, restaurants, those things. It's about how any business can use hospitality principles to succeed and grow and scale with integrity.
And actually, I think zooming in, like you're saying, on the customer experience, what do they need? And financials, we're going to talk today. What do we actually need to look at? And instead of panicking when we look at those numbers and say, uh-oh, I'm drowning here, I'm not making enough, I better add something else, nurturing like the low-hanging fruit and saying, get tightened up before it's so freaking hard for me, Erin. Oof.
Yes. It's hard for a lot of us. It's hard for me. And that's why I think teaching what you know, only what you know, is so important. And that includes the lessons you've learned and being vulnerable. And this is why I'm overjoyed to do your podcast, because I think that's why we connected so much, because we try our best to be authentic and real.
It's so much quicker to make connection with everybody, with your customer, with your network, with yourself and your own journey, and be willing to be vulnerable and not be perfect at everything and be okay with that.
And the underpinning of all of that is when you want to grow with integrity, that's how you do it.
Today, we wanted to dive into the part that a lot of makers, I think, avoid. We just tend to avoid it. And that's the financial side. We don't think about these things until sometimes deeper into business, unless there's a true necessity. And it's not like just a side gig. This is it. Those two perspectives are different. We want to make this approachable and human and digestible for many of us have ADHD. We're creatives. We're squirreled in 100 directions. How can we ground this for everybody today and make it accessible and sustainable to look at?
I come from a family of I'll just say entrepreneurs. I think if you start anything, you're an entrepreneur. And to get by, to do things, to make things happen, a lot of people in my family either had hair salons, their own law firm. My mother, back in the day, you couldn't get Santa Clauses. I know this probably sounds crazy, but you couldn't get black Santa Clauses. You couldn't get certain things that look like you. And so my mother, she would get the porcelain from Dollar Tree Santa Clauses and paint them and sell them, and angels too, and all sorts of things for the family and the neighborhood. And she would sell those too. We all did something. Don't complain, make it.
Don't complain, make it. Oh my gosh, that's your new bumper sticker. Right?
I like that. I need to jot that down.
Yeah, you need a t-shirt. So you work with a lot of entrepreneurs across all industries. I tend to work with a lot of creatives and jewelers specifically because that's my world.
Right.
That's where I've been living for the last 2 decades plus. What have you noticed about the unique challenges that creatives face? Is there some common thread there?
You said it earlier. They want to do the thing. The thing is what makes them happy. And my mom said it to me. She said, listen, I just want to make jewelry, Erin. I'm tired of it. I don't want to understand how to integrate my Shopify to Instagram. So I did it. I don't want to understand how to set up this website. So I made it. And I get that. The one thing in common is that you want to do the thing. And so we have to figure out, how do we make enough money to make sure that you can stay in that creative space? How do we set up your business? And I'm bringing that up because it feeds directly into why you have to keep track of your finances and look at those things so you can be fulfilled and do the thing that you want to do, but also be astute enough to check in to make sure things are running properly. That's the ideal. That's the perfect world.
If you don't have a bookkeeper, you don't have a financial advisor. This is a lot of times we're starting out with just the resources in the room. We need to look at who's in our orbit and who can help with situations because we're not going to be good at everything. That's too much expectation for ourselves.
Oh,
I should be able to do the marketing, the making, do the
right.
thing. I love
No
that you
way.
guys like,
No
we
one
want to
does.
do the thing. Nobody
Yeah.
can wear all of those hats successfully, sustainably. What resources do you have, Erin, that we could tap into that might help us with the financials?
I have 3 books I wanna share today. The first, especially if you are money hesitant, we all have a money mindset that was given to us, especially how you grew up, whether you didn't have enough or whatever. This book here has helped me so much. It's called The
Awesome.
Psychology of Money.
Too.
Morgan Housel, and I'm sure you'll link to this in your show notes, but it's timeless lessons on wealth, greed, and happiness.
Erin.
That is The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. This is the first thing I think everybody should read. The second book that has really helped me with my personal finances is I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi. And I suggest that everybody follow him, follow his podcast. And then the last book is Thriving with Adult ADHD by Phil Bossier.
Okay, so let's dig into this. Your career, you could go back and listen again when things seem up, or same with the course that I do, Transform. It's meant to be a living, breathing experience. You can't learn it all in 6 weeks. You can't learn it all in 1 year. But let's rewind a little bit and talk about when a jeweler or artist comes to you, specifically maybe your mom, and they tell
Mhm,
you, like, I just can't see the profit yet,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
Let's just start from there.
mhm.
Where do you start? What numbers do we need to be looking at?
Yeah, and I'm a questioner, right? So the first thing I would ask them is why they don't think they're seeing the profit. In times of intense hardship or change, which is what I think a lot of people are feeling right now, is you revert to how can you do things differently? So the mother of necessity comes in, and I'd say, how can you look at your business differently? This is before we get into any numbers or profit, because you may have to shift your business to the point you made earlier. What does that look like? Is there an opportunity to create things and shift the mindset? And this is what I help my clients with. I take a simple spreadsheet. And this is the hardest thing you'll ever do because this part is a little tedious. Get a glass of wine, get a beer, get some tea, get whatever. List all your personal expenses. I'm talking about down to the degree. List them all, right?
Mhm.
And this goes to the little bill you have, the Mason credit card, your car insurance bill, YouTube, Netflix, any donations you make, boom, HOA, water, boom, total it, right? That's your number. Then do the same thing with your business. Then you go back to your personal expenses and you say, the first top are like how I live now. But how do you
Mm.
want to live? Most of my clients don't ever put a vacation expense in there, ever. What makes you happy? Go back through that list of bills and say, what makes me happy? These are my life expenses. Do I want to take a trip? Do I want to take a class? Do I want to
Mhm.
go to a conference? And then put all the stuff of how you want to live. So, for example, if you want to buy a house next year, your current mortgage is say 1,800, but you know where you want to live or where you want your kid to go to school, it may be 3,500.
Mhm.
Put that in there, right? And then you total that up. So you have what your now is and where you want to be. Okay. 2 lines. That's it. You do the same things for business. What is now Where I want to go. Oh, I want to go to this conference. I've never been able to go. If you always want to go, you put that in there. Hotel, rental car. And don't put the days in if you don't want to stay at the days in. If you want to stay at a nice place, how much does it cost? Put it in there. That's what we want to have. It may not be in our current expense list. You check that.
Yeah.
You look at what your revenue is that you're bringing in. How much do you have to make in order to have this particular life? And most people don't want private jet. Most people don't want like crazy things. They just want comfortability. So you put that in, you say, okay, this is my number. So you don't even start with your pricing yet. You start with how you want to live. Okay.
Okay.
And then they say, it's not even that much. It's not that much more. The aha moment that I see in my clients' faces, they're like, it's not even that much. I can
Right.
do this. So then you go back and you look at your products, your services, whatever it is that you do. And you say, okay, this is how much I currently price. Is there any room for growth? I just want you to know how much you spend. It's good to know that in general. You don't have to track it after this, but it's good to know in general. Because now your number informs what you do. And you don't have to panic. But really, the whole exercise when I do it with my clients, most of the time, it's not even the numbers. It's them getting past the fear of doing it. That's what I would say do. It's literally 4 columns of numbers that you
Okay.
have. And
Mhm.
then to your point about going back and checking, I'll recommend, depending on how much you sell or how often you sell, whatever your selling patterns are, I would say from week to month to quarter. But I think you should never go more than 2 weeks without looking at your money.
And that's how you choose to direct your energy. Once you know those numbers, I'll give you an example. I just met with an ongoing client who took Transform, came out the other end and said, okay, I'm really ready to do this, to take it seriously. And one of the first exercises I had her do, very similar, was what do you need to survive? What are those numbers? And it's uncanny how often we don't just look at the baseline there. If we can muster up the guts to sit down and look at this, it's not going to take that long. The anticipation always takes longer than the doing. And you may have to change, like if you add a software and we're all online now, there's $800 a month at
The
what you're paying.
$800 tells you how much you gotta sell.
Yeah. And anything on top of that becomes your profit. We got to look at that baseline. What's the baseline here? And I love the idea. Let's work in our vacations. That is part of living. Somebody said once, schedule in your vacation and work around it.
So those are the types of things that we need to build in our personal list. It's just expenses. It's an expense. It's an investment. These are all investments into the life that I want to live. And so I don't use the word bills in, because bills, to your point, makes you catch your breath.
We're going to have to do 2 episodes here, Erin.
Yeah.
And then I do want to look at, okay, how do we really break this down? We're going to bring Erin back next week and we're going to dig into this a little deeper. Okay. Because mindset is a huge part of it. Getting away from the scarcity mindset that's ingrained in all of us. And we talk a lot about that on this show.
I'm going to do a template for your audience that they
Oh.
can copy.
That's awesome. Consistency and looking at this, like creating this as a part of your new rhythm, your ritual, is to look at the numbers. Let's start with something that creates success. Feel the feeling of this working for you.
Yeah.
Do the first part this week. Let's just invite Erin. What's our invitation this week to look at these numbers, get a clear vision?
Yes. So the invitation is to jot down your personal expenses. You'll see 2 tabs, your personal expenses and then your business. That's when we can get into pricing and look at your product line. And sometimes it may mean cutting and focusing. So
Okay. Erin's going to gift us with her spreadsheet to plug in some numbers, look at these, and I'll provide the link for that in the show notes, and you can be directed to where that's going to live. I think it's very human to feel intimidated by looking at these financials, but make it, and not even financials, the investments. I love that word. Okay.
Yes.
We're going to use
Yeah.
that. No bills here. These are all investments in your life and
Yeah.
your business. So
Absolutely.
let's take a look at that, and I'll see you next week, Erin.
All right. Perfect. Take care.
Thanks for listening to The Jeweler's View. If today's episode gave you something to think about, consider sending it to a friend or share it on social and tag me at Courtney Gray Arts. You'll find tools, coaching, resources, and the Transform course at CourtneyGrayArts.com. Remember, you're not behind, you're becoming exactly the kind of maker your business needs. And that kind of depth, it takes time. I'll be back next week, same time, same tough love. Onward and upward.
Here's to the dreams and how we make them, to howling at the moon, to worries and loss, sitting in solitude, feeling a little bit pissed off. Here's to the grace we have awakened.